at The Experience this Monday, March 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's our usual time. The whole gang will be here. Hopefully John doesn't call out again. It's annoying when he does that. But no matter what, it's going to be a great time. We're going to have all your favorite Marvel books, DC, Dynamite, and more. So please come join us. Remember, it's The Experience, March 20th, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's a Monday. Right here. Don't miss it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. It's Friday. That means it's time for the Rex and the Robbie show, and you can't do the Rocks and the Robbie show without the Rocks and the Robbie and the blah, blah, blah. I'm Robbie. Here's Rex. What's up, my man? How you doing?
What's up, buddy? A little too much caffeine this morning, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I think I renamed you Rocks. Roxy Rex. Rexy Rocks. Whatever.
I'll answer anything as long as my paycheck clears.
As long as the paycheck clears and the invoices are paid. So how are you doing today, Rex?
I am hanging in there, buddy. Been one hell of a week, but what are you going to do? On a lot of levels.
Yes, right? And luckily, we got some DC news to talk about tonight because, you know, it's one of our favorite subjects here on the R&R show, right?
A reminder, Robbie, we are now live as opposed to taped. And you say tonight an awful lot during our shows. Just say.
Yeah, it's just a habit, you know, and to some people watching it is tonight, right? So there you go. You don't know when people are watching this.
Raul's the only one.
Maybe. Well, today we're going to be talking about James Gunn directing Superman Legacy, which is not a surprise. We were all kind of anticipating this, you know, like obviously he's co-running DC with Peter Safran. He was writing the Superman Legacy movie, but it's officially been announced that he is in fact directing the film. So the film Superman Legacy will be written and directed by James Gunn. And we really do appreciate everybody for joining us. We want to know what you think. Rex, I want to know what you think. What do you think about this news?
Well, hey, BJ. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Raul, it's 9:35 p.m. there. Perry, cool. All right, so your comment applied to two people. Well, no shocker there. DC gives us something more to talk about this week. Not a huge surprise, but I think it's a good thing that, well, I like the way that Gunn kind of delivered the news. He tied it to something very personal, you know, his dad and everything else. So he knew he was going to catch a lot of crap about this, no matter which way he flew, right? Whether he did it, whether he didn't do it, you know, the whole thing with Henry Cavill. And then, you know, who was it? I think it was Marcus. Somebody brought up the Affleck Gunn thing, right? So you read about, you know, what's going on, and obviously Affleck's making comments out there and you know, giving kudos to Schneider and Schneiderverse and that version of it, and again talking about what a horrible experience it was, and then you mentioned Affleck said he's not playing any more superhero roles, which I agree with you is probably a good thing for him. You know, Daredevil was widely panned. His Batman was widely panned. You know, it's just.
What's crazy though is there's plenty of people who loved him as Batman. I know personally plenty of people that think Ben Affleck is their favorite Batman, and that's cool. And you know, and so yeah, basically Ben Affleck, because the rumors were, and we've been talking about him, maybe he'll direct the Batman movie, not be Batman, but direct it, right? And he came out and basically was like, look, I have nothing against James Gunn and all that, but I'm not down with what they're doing. I don't want to do that. I'm proud of what I've done. He said that he got to say goodbye to the role in Flash, right? So we'll see that coming up, right? He's in that for a little bit. And if I was Ben Affleck, I would never want to go near another comic book superhero movie, you know? Because, yeah, like you said, Daredevil was universally panned and trashed, right? He dealt with a lot of hate over his portrayal of Batman, right? And what's crazy to me is, like, when people think of Ben Affleck, that's what people in this community start thinking about. And I think we need to really start thinking about, like, the fact that Ben Affleck is a legitimate filmmaker. He's an Academy Award-winning filmmaker and writer, right? Argo, amazing. The Town, super solid. He is a hell of a director. And he is a force in this industry in Hollywood. And it's so crazy. Like, if I was him, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to get back to Academy Award-winning Ben Affleck and away from the superhero side of things, because it doesn't seem like it pans out too well for him.
But where's the money? That's the problem. And you're right. I agree with you. And not every great director can direct a superhero movie. And that was clearly demonstrated by Eternals and Chloe Zhao. Okay. Tremendous director, but this is outside of her wheelhouse. So we have to say maybe this is outside Ben Affleck's wheelhouse as well. So he shouldn't be doing this. Didn't he direct the Batman movie?
No, but he was going to. He was working on that Batman movie. I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one that was going to have Deathstroke in it, right? It was going to be Batman versus Deathstroke. They even shot test footage, and I am sad that we will never get to see that. But yeah, for a while there, then that was the project that eventually, when DC was fumbling around, they had no idea what the hell they were doing, and they were like, we're not. And so eventually,
I want to address Marcus Wise question. I saw that as well. What was Schneider's tweet about Darkseid? I saw like a little blurb of that, but I didn't really look into it. It was just something as you're scrolling through your phone, it came up, and I'm like, what are we talking something animated or?
We have no idea, right? So we have no idea because he just like teased, like, I didn't even see exactly what it was, but I think I heard it was either an image or a video or something, and then it had the date attached to it. And if the date was April 1st, everybody needs to understand that maybe he's just setting up an April Fool's joke. But what's crazy to me is that Snyder announcement or Snyder tease happened, and then James Gunn announced that he was directing Superman, and then a bunch of people jumped on James Gunn, accusing him of undercutting Zack Snyder's announcement with his own. And I'm like, yo, come on. What do we think? Like, I don't think Snyder's coming back to do more movies for DC. If anything, it's probably like I don't know. If anything, it's probably like maybe a toy, maybe like a special edition Blu-ray, something like that. A video game, maybe something like that. I don't know, but I don't think it's a movie.
I kind of felt that way when I read it, but it never really says that, so I'm not sure. So is it a video game? But yeah, I agree with you. Even if there was no bad blood between Gunn and Schneider, the way things exist now, why would you do it as James Gunn? No matter how great you think Schneider is personally or professionally, whatever, that chasm already exists. You invite him back, you're just opening that wound right up. So I really can't see it going that way. And
yeah,
Schneider,
I don't know exactly what it is, but surely not.
Do they have that SnyderCon?
Is SnyderCon a real thing? Is that what we're?
I don't know. Yeah. Is it?
I have no idea.
I read about that
in 2023.
So I'm trying to
figure
that
some
out.
People are thinking that that's what's going on, is that he's confirming that they're doing a SnyderCon, like a convention. Yeah, apparently they are doing SnyderCon, which is April 28th through 30th. Superhero movie event. It's probably like maybe it's like a convention and then like a watch along or something like that, maybe. And he's going to talk about it.
I guess they started it before the pandemic and then had to suspend it because of the pandemic. Is kind of how I read it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't really know much about that, but yeah, as Raul was saying, Matt Reeves, the Matt Reeves Batman movie is what eventually fell out of the failed Affleck project, right?
Right.
And yeah, James Gunn and Zack Snyder are friends. Ben Affleck is cool with all of them, I'm sure. Like, we all like to, and what's up, 2 Gun? We always like to throw in this drama, but it seems like the only real drama between personalities that's happened at DC in the last few months has been them versus The Rock, in a way, almost. And even then, that's not James Gunn. That's not his thing. You know what I'm saying? That he's not the one that came in. Like, that was already in the work and all this kind of stuff.
So, I mean, I like the way that Schneider or Gunn described it, how he's going to approach it. Kind of connection to the 2 sets of families, the aristocratic Kryptonian family and then the Kansas farm family, and explore that. And I think that's a good idea, actually. I don't think that's really something that's in any iteration of Superman they've actually ever really explored. Not really. They did a little bit with the Cavill Superman, but that was mostly focused on, Ma and Pa Kent, and then, obviously the role of Kevin Costner and so on and so forth. But nobody's ever really explored that. Maybe a little bit with the Christopher Reeves one in the very beginning. That was kind of interesting, but nobody's ever really explored it. So maybe that's a good direction to go.
Me personally, I agree, and I think I'm ecstatic about the news that James Gunn's doing the Superman movie. I really, really am. And I am a huge James Gunn fan, and I really do love the Guardians movies. I love Slither. I love some of his writing credits, like Dawn of the Dead or the Scooby-Doo movie even. Not everything he's done is, I thought The Suicide Squad was okay. I still haven't seen Super. And he produced and I think co-wrote Brightburn, which is like an evil Superman movie. And I didn't really like that one that much. But what I'm hearing from people all the time is, oh, James Gunn just makes these silly movies. Like, how is he going to tackle a Superman? And I'm like, first of all, where's this idea coming from that a Superman movie has to be super serious? Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't need to have nuance and resonance or anything like that, but like, why can't a Superman movie have humor? Why can't a Superman movie have a sense of fun, right? I think that that's something that would make a Superman movie really, really work. Also, where has James Gunn showed us that he couldn't do serious things? Because even in fun movies that are considered kind of comedic adventures like the Guardians movies, there's a heartfelt core to those movies. In particular, in part 2, where you're talking about the fathers between Ego and oh my God, why can't I think of his name now? Yondu, right? Yondu. Like, there's some really strong, and even in the Christmas special, the holiday special, like, it was tugging at my heart. James Gunn has shown that he can do fun movies and still have a serious tone to it at times. And he's also shown me that he can do, or that, and Superman has shown me that it should be fun. So what do you feel about that? Because a lot of people are like, James Gunn is inappropriate for a Superman movie because he's not going to match the tone.
Well, I got to agree with bottom tier collector. Okay. I think everybody kind of has that feeling except for the hardcore Schneider fans. I've had enough of it. I'm not ragging on Zack Schneider. I like his work. I like the twist that he had. It was definitely better than Josh Whedon's. But I'm over it. Gunn is at the helm. Let him do his thing. You know what I mean? So I kind of agree with that. Clean slate, no baggage. Let's move on. BJ, what's going on, buddy? Meh. I mean, yes and no. You see BJ's question. I don't know. What do you think? I mean,
so Shazam is out now. Shazam is out right now, and I'm hearing decent things about it, but I mean, my excitement level is not very high, but at the same time, I thought the first Shazam movie was all right. I think it kind of fell apart in the third act. I'm excited to see Aquaman just because Aquaman is one of my favorite characters and I love Jason Momoa. So I want to see what they do with that. But I am genuinely interested and excited is probably the wrong word, but I am very interested in seeing The Flash. But more so, I'm interested in seeing this Superman movie by James Gunn. So a lot of the rug has been pulled out from under these projects coming out this year, for sure, I think, with this announcement.
Well, Superman Legacy is 2 years down the road. Shazam, I enjoyed the first one. I've seen reviews coming from both sides. Okay, people bashing it, critics, saying it was good for what it's supposed to be, right? So it's not anything that's going to blow anybody's doors off, but it should be a nice, as John likes to put it all the time, popcorn movie. I agree about Aquaman. I love Momoa. That's the one regret I had with all the announcements that were coming out was, is he going to be Lobo? Is he not, or whatever? I disagree. Figure drawing. I mean, in the sense that he's no less talented than The Rock. Okay. He tends to play one type of role, and it works.
You just wait till he blows everybody away in Fast 10 this summer. We're all gonna be like Jason Momoa for Academy Award.
The Flash, I agree with the way you phrase it. I am very interested, just in the same way you would be interested in a horrific traffic accident. Okay, come on, let's call it what it is. You've been waiting in traffic for an hour and 45 minutes. You finally roll up. You see nothing but mangled metal. All right. You know there's a bad accident. And what are you doing? You're looking to catch to see if you see any limbs or anything like that. Okay. Come on. We all do it. It's that kind of, I don't know, human nature. I feel the same way about the Flash. I want to see what this car wreck's going to look like.
Okay, comparing Jason Momoa to Pedro Pascal, like, what are we doing here? Like, okay, let's compare Orson Welles to Lloyd Kaufman. Then, like, what are we doing here? That's apples and oranges for me. But I get what you're saying. Like Jason Momoa, there's a certain contingent of actors who are not necessarily popular or famous or lauded for their acting capabilities. Like, nobody thinks that Jason Momoa is going to come in with Aquaman and make an Aquaman movie that's going to have us all in tears, and that we're going to be so blown away by his you know, his performance. And Marcus is right. You know, Pascal was in Wonder Woman 84.
He was brilliant in that. He was fantastic in that. Come on.
I don't know. I wish. Oh, whatever.
The maniacal guy, you know, come on.
Agree to disagree on that.
Maniacal rich guy on the verge of losing everything. His relationship with the son, you know, come on. I mean, you know, the guy's a tremendous actor. So, you know, he pulled it off.
No, I get it though, but like Momoa, and I get it, figure drawing. You like Momoa, but you're making it like there are actors who just play themselves in every movie, you know, and I'm okay with that. Jason Momoa plays himself in almost every movie, and he looks good. You know, he's a sexy man, and that's why I think he is in the portrayals that he's in. And I actually think that he was a very inspired choice for Aquaman, and Zack Snyder's the one that picked him, right? Because Aquaman was such a joke to so many people. Like, for instance, in the New 52, when Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis come in and they do an Aquaman book that is, I think, the best Aquaman comic of all time, is their run there. They had to address the idea that Aquaman is a joke to a lot of people. He's the guy that talks to fish. He can't do anything if he's not in water. And Aquaman is more than that. Those of us that are hardcore Aquaman fans, there's a few of us, right? There's a few of us. We got a club. We know that there's more to that character, but most people just see it as a joke, right?
Right.
Immediately, when you cast somebody like Jason Momoa, you take the jokiness kind of out of it and you add a little bit of weight to it. Not like dramatic weight, but like badassery.
Yeah, badass. I like that. Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. Okay, you know, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's not some dude in like a yellow and you know, green trunks or whatever, and you know, looking like he just, you know, got his hair cut. You know, there's that kind of primal thing that he does. Let's see. Figure drawing says Jason Bateman is a bit better than Jason Momoa in terms of acting.
I love me some Jason Bateman, man. Don't get me started on that. And yeah, Aquaman's supposed to be a blonde guy, so they did take a chance with Momoa. But you know, Momoa does, you know, they put a little bit of blonde in his hair at certain times, and he does. I remember when they first cast him, I was like, that's brilliant. That's the Peter David Aquaman, right? That's the 90s long hair. Like, that was one of the first times where they really went out of their way to be like, let's make Aquaman badass. Let's make him royal. Let's make him like, let's make him have a little bit more of an edge to him, and not like super edgy, you know, but like it, you know. And yes, in the movies, you got your stuff like my man, you know, he's bro Aquaman, you know. But I like that. And yeah, in spite of his skills, Jason succeeding, you know, Jason is able to self-actualize. One of my favorite stories about Jason Momoa is that he grew up watching the Cosby Show and totally had a crush on Lisa Bonet, right? And this dude is married to Lisa Bonet now, right? Like, think about that. That's a dude who sees a goal.
Well,
are they not married anymore?
I don't think so. They broke up a while ago.
No, you're breaking my heart. No, they did not.
Dude, I swear to God, I wouldn't lie to you about such things. A lot of other things, but not this. Hey, Jay Burns, I'm better, buddy. Better. Thank you, though, for asking, man. You see it?
I'm looking. I don't see any news about them splitting.
Oh, they split up. I don't know if they're.
Okay, yeah, I see. They're still close. Oh, okay. Man, anyway, he still
I mean,
married her.
they're friendly. It's not ugly or anything. It's not ugly or anything, but yeah, they ain't together no more.
I mean, can you imagine trying to live up to the legend of Lenny Kravitz? I'm just saying that can't be too easy.
I was this years old when I found out that Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet broke up. I can't believe you didn't know that, man. Yeah, so look, I get what figure drawing's saying, but we're talking about Aquaman, all right? The role does not require a kind of Laurence Olivier kind of depth of acting. And I think he was a good cast for that role. They need to make a statement with Aquaman, and I think they made it. It was one of the movies. I enjoyed Wonder Woman, even Wonder Woman 84. Did not enjoy Superman. Did not enjoy the Batmans of that era. But I think they had some good things come out of that. And then there was Ezra Miller, and then things went off the rails. So from that perspective, you gotta, again, I don't see Jason Momoa. I don't see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I don't see these guys winning an Academy Award in their future. But we enjoy watching them in the roles that they play, and the roles that they play are always going to be a certain kind of role. The biggest range I think The Rock is ever going to have was what was that? I watched it with my daughter when she was young. She loved the movie. It was so funny. It was a good movie. I think that was the most range he showed. It was a comedy kids movie. He was a football player.
Is that Game Plan?
Yes. Maybe it was Game Plan.
Yeah, like the Disney movie, The Game Plan or something like that, I think.
Yeah. That was, he really, really had some range. But he was still The Rock, just with a kid, right?
My favorite Dwayne Johnson movie and performance is Southland Tales, because he does play like a kooky character, but it's like there's a weird, absurd reality to that film that I think he really works very well with.
I agree, figure drawing. I think he would make a great Lobo. He would fit in that role very well. But God help us if the screenplay isn't there. They could really go sideways with this if they're not careful. But we'll see. I mean, again, we'll see. The problems that DC had wasn't really, I don't want to say casting. It was a lot of things, man. They had a lot of disasters.
Yes.
And then they all piled up. The executives kept changing. So it was going to be very difficult for them to kind of gaining traction. And obviously it slid downhill very quickly.
Yeah. And, we've unpacked and talked about, what's went wrong with DC and this and that. And we've unpacked and talked about the future and everything. So I want to get back to that original question. Do you think James Gunn will have an issue capturing the right tone for a Superman movie?
Well, I'd say this. We look at this movie as being the pivot point, right? The beginning of the James Gunn, Peter Safran era. So with that being probably the single most important movie to represent that divergence, if you will, okay? Because everything else that we're looking at is already in the pipe. No matter how much you change it, how much you adjust it, it's already been there. It was already planned. No matter what, you're not going to reshoot the whole damn thing, especially the way they've been acting. They would just shelve it. So they're trying to limp along and get these out of the pipeline. So Superman Legacy in 2 years, I guess, is going to really represent that shift. If I were James Gunn, and knowing that becomes such a critical watershed moment for what he wants to do, why wouldn't he want to be the writer and director on it? Okay, kind of in control of his own fate. So I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I think it was an inevitable sequence of events that brought us all here. If you're going to put him in charge of the whole damn thing, and we're all going to judge him for it, we're already judging him for it, and he hasn't even really put anything out there except a few announcements here and there, right? If he knows, and he knows this, good, bad, indifferent. I haven't done anything, and they're whopping me in the back of the head, with the Schneiderverse. If I'm going to do it, then I might as well be in control of my own fate. So I think it was inevitable. I think that from early on, when they first made the announcement, oh, we're going to bring on Gunn and Safran, I said that I was fully in support of it, because I felt like right now there's nothing salvageable for DC. You've already thrown all the half-open meals in the trash. Now you're going to go back and try to dig something up and make a meal out of it. No matter what, we all know you reached into the garbage can and dug that up, dude. This is not new. You didn't make me something new to eat. So if I'm going to be in support of that, then I would have to say, yes, I am in support of this. If you're going to make that first Superman watershed movie that's going to open up the Gunn universe, then why not have it be James Gunn?
Now, I want to address Jay. Jay is a super producer for us over at our show on the EXP on Monday nights, which we got a great one coming up this upcoming Monday. Jay says, I'm going to hold my Superman judgment until I see a trailer. I'm a huge Superman fan. I like Gunn's movies, but it's going to take more than posting pictures of comics to prove he can do a good movie. I get what you're saying. We should always reserve judgment. Now, I'm telling you, I'm excited because to me, James Gunn has already proven that he knows how to make a good movie. Slither is a fantastic movie. Guardians is a fantastic movie. Guardians Volume 2 is like my favorite James Gunn movie. Like, I love that. He's proven that he can write great movies. He's proven that he can do impossible feats with writing, right? I hate horror movie remakes, and I especially hate horror movie remakes of some of my favorite horror movies, like George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. That's an impossible movie to make, right? To me. James Gunn put in an excellent script for that, and Zack Snyder directed that. So yeah, Zack and James, they know each other. Okay, how about doing a live-action Scooby-Doo movie and making it fun, and making it fun for kids, but also for adults? James Gunn did that. He knows how to make these movies. He's proven to me he can do it. And the tonal clash, I don't get at all, because Guardians 2, I'm going to keep going back to that one. That movie made me care so much more about those characters than the first one did, right? Like, I liked them in the first movie, but the second one really hit an emotional, resonating moment for me, especially with the Yondu stuff. And I think what they did with the holiday special is proven that James Gunn knows how to make a movie light, adventurous, and fun, but at the same time still be grounded in humanity. I think he's proven that he can do this. So when I think about what I know and what I love and appreciate about James Gunn's cinematic work, and I apply that to what that could potentially result with a Superman movie, it excites me. It excites me a lot. But at the same time, I'm not going to overhype myself on it. But I am very, very, and yeah, Suicide Squad's just okay. It's just okay, but
Well, all right. So let me spin that on its head. Okay. So let me answer Jay Burns' question from a different angle. So you're gonna, people are gonna reserve judgment. You got to prove this. You can make a good Superman movie. All of that, I understand. But here's the thing: is he really gonna worry about that? Because right now, he has to fix the entire DC universe. That's on him. And we're all going to be judging him on that, right? So he can go one of two ways with this Nexus watershed movie. Do it himself, or hire somebody else to do it. If the movie is bad, do you think it will make any difference whether he's the director or not? He's going to receive the lion's share of the blame, right?
Yeah.
So at that point in time, what would you do? Well, if I'm going to get blamed either way, then hell with it. I'm going to do it my way, rather than get blamed for somebody else's work, right?
Yeah, and also to be like, if we're going to take shit for this first movie, I don't want anybody else to take shit. I'll take it all. Like, I'll do it. Like, this is on me, y'all.
Take it all no matter what. No matter what, which way he goes on this, it would have all laid at his doorstep, right? because he can't even push the other person under the bus. Well, that director was horrible. Because what's the next thing we're all going to ask? Well, you hired him. Aren't you the boss man? You hired him. So if he's horrible, that's still on you. You hired him to do.
Yeah, but even in that case, you could always
and
be
then,
like,
and
oh,
then
yeah,
wait. Let me go to the next logical step. And then what do we all say? Why don't you do the movie yourself, James? Right?
dude, if that Superman movie would have come out written by him but directed by somebody else, and I didn't like it, that would have been something I would have said. I would have been like, it's like with the first Ant-Man movie. It's like, yeah, it's okay, but imagine if Edgar Wright would have actually done it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like that would have been there for sure.
Right. So I kind of feel like, from his perspective, when he's thinking about this, well, he answered that question way back when he took the job in the first place. He knew all this was going to be laid down at his doorstep. So at this point, writing and directing a film is not that far out of the realm there. Okay. If he's going to take it on himself, he's going to take it all. And I can appreciate that. I really can. You know, because you're committed one way or another. For me, it's like, well, bottom tier, I kind of see what you're saying. There's a lot of backlash, a lot of it from hardcore Snyder fans. And look, going back to what we were talking about earlier, when Affleck, you know, made his statements and his comments, he also recently made that statement about the Snyderverse. You know, it was a horrific experience making the movie, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, Zack Snyder's genius, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If that's not a backhand slap at Gunn, I don't know what is. So really, there is this, as soon as Gunn was hired, you had this divide. You had all these people that and I think DC kind of screwed themselves. No matter what you thought of the Snyder Cut, liked it or didn't like it, from my perspective, they made things worse for themselves by releasing it. Because what it did was it showed that the fans now have power. We can influence the studio. Now, by hiring Gunn, you've taken that power away. Well, what do you expect the fans to do? They're going to react. We did it once. Let's do it again. Let's start something. Netflix, buy the Snyderverse. No matter how ridiculous the idea really is on paper, you know, we did it once before. We can do it again. We got them to make it, right? So that's where I think, you know, it kind of comes down to that. So I agree with what you know. Who was it that said it? Was a figure drawing? I forget. That there's almost a kind of built-in let's bash, you know, James Gunn. Let's do what he's, you know, let's criticize everything that he does as he tries to fix this. And they are what they are, you know.
Yeah, and figure drawing, I do like the Tom Savini Night of the Living Dead. I don't like it as much as the original, but I do enjoy it. I still have it on DVD. I haven't. Is it on Blu-ray? I need to pick that up on Blu-ray. I'm sure it is, but and like just some rando says, Affleck doesn't want to be beholden to a vision, a Gunverse, so to speak. I think he just wants to do his own Elseworlds thing like Joker. But at the same time, I think that Affleck wants to get back to making the kind of movies that he really likes. You know, him and Matt Damon speak a lot about, it's nice to have all these popcorn movies, but our bread and butter are these smaller, independent, intimate type movies, these more dramatic movies, things like that. Affleck is an Academy Award winning filmmaker, right? Like, and it's not just for writing Good Will Hunting. For a while, we used to just be like, oh, he just wrote it for co-writing a movie. No, Argo was a huge deal. I think Ben Affleck is a hell of a director. I actually love Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck's one of the best. He was one of my first man crushes. Like, I remember seeing him in Good Will Hunting and Armageddon and just being like, I like this dude. And I followed his career eagerly. Not everything he's done has been great. And, you know, for a while there, he was the pretty boy actor, and he kind of went along with some of those roles, and it kind of backfired. Then he tried to do Daredevil, and that backfired. He did Batman, that backfired. It makes a lot of sense to me why he's like, I'm done with superheroes. This has been way too hard, man. I'm just trying to enjoy life with J-Lo or whatnot. Are they still together? Because they got back together. Are they not? Like, because I don't want to have this.
I'm not sure. I don't keep that up with it. I'm an okay Affleck fan. I've watched his stuff. You know, obviously Daredevil was just bad. I don't really put that at Ben Affleck's, feet per se. It was bad on a lot of different levels. So that was probably problematic. His Batman, didn't enjoy it. Didn't see him in the role. It just, for what they were trying to do, I just didn't see it. But I agree with you. From his roots, from where he came from, and where he ended up, I don't know. And obviously, he's had personal issues along the way as well. So, I don't know. But again, I'm not as huge a Ben Affleck fan as you are.
Well, I'm just glad to know that they're still together, even though, they weren't together for a long time. She was with A-Rod. And I never felt like that worked. Because, as much of a Yankees fan as I am, I don't really like Alex Rodriguez that much. And I don't like him as a
A-Rod problem for years. Nobody does. I'm totally serious. I of all the years and years of Yankee fans, I never saw anybody really, oh yeah, well we got A-Rod. Nobody was ever excited about it. The inevitable comparisons with Jeter, it was horrible.
A-Rod would just embarrass us, man. Remember when he would do the dumb things, like when he knocked the ball out of the guy's hand, and he screams at the dude so he can miss the foul ball, the pop up, and just so Bush League. So you know what I'm saying? But at least he got one championship with the Yankees. So I guess that's fine for him. That gives him he's got to, because he does ESPN and Fox. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Come on. They got Jeter coming in as an analyst on Fox next. And it's going to be interesting to see those two together.
Well, I mean, you with the deal that A-Rod got leaving the Rangers to come to the Yankees, I mean, you could see A-Rod was always about himself. The rumors around that time they were all floating around anyway. A-Rod is a selfish player. He's about himself. What's good for him? And, he kind of proved that throughout his career. But,
initially they were talking about how there was going to be a battle because, he's a shortstop, right? And you don't go to the Yankees during the Jeter era and take his position, So as much as he was, I remember hearing all that stuff, but then at the same time, I remember hearing that it was a big reality. It was a big awakening moment for him when they were like, nah, bro, you're at third base. Bro, sorry, you're at third base. You're not taking Jeter's spot at all.
Well, I've always disagreed with the super tall shortstop. I don't think that really works. But figure drawing. I want to respond to that. I think the vocal minority want Gunn to fail. He has a good track record, as Robbie said. I think, listen, here's a funny thing. I think Zack Snyder is a great director. I think James Gunn is a great director. I think that, again, I go back to, I don't really see that Gunn had any other choice when this came. If his plan is to make the Superman movie, the first movie, that watershed movie that's going to open up his vision of the universe going forward, then, as I said, whether he did it, he hired somebody to do it, no matter what, it's going to end up at his doorstep. So why not take control of your own fate? So I like that. I'm optimistic because I want to see DC work. Okay. I want to see the universe finally work because we've had years and years of fumbling and bumbling. And in all honesty, discounting the Nolan Batman years, discounting obviously the start with the Michael Keaton Batman, discounting all those previous years, coming up to what, as they were trying to build it, it has been nothing but a hot mess. So finally, this is the first time it felt like it was anywhere close to having some sort of cohesive vision. Whether people agree with the vision, don't agree with the vision, quite honestly, none of us really know what the vision is. He hasn't told us. But for me, it feels like this is the closest they've ever come to being able to really get it together, because they've never done this in the past. It's always been a kind of a changing cast of executives, visions. All right, look, when you got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson strong-arming people, executives to bring Henry Cavill in for an end credit cameo, yeah, this does not sound like you got a plan, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that to me is where I think we're at. So regardless of whether you agree with the announcements or not, I think everybody's got to admit this is the closest they've ever been to finally getting this straightened out, moving forward with a map and a plan. And again, I know it disappoints a lot of Snyderverse fans, and they thought that was a start, and a lot of different things happen. And I don't blame Zack Snyder for the mess of changing executives, musical chairs during his time there. So I understand that. But really, what it boils down to is, if you are in essence a DC, the Snyderverse is over. It's gone. It's over. Nobody's selling it to Netflix. It's not happening. Okay. So even if you loved it, you got to realize that time's gone. And as we've mentioned before, I'm sure Zack Snyder has moved on. He's on to whatever projects he's working on. Okay.
Yeah,
so
Rebel Moon's coming out. Rebel Moon's out this year, I think, right? It's kind of like his Star Wars. I'm excited for that, man. I like Snyder and Gunn. I love both of them as directors.
That's what I'm saying. So look, they've committed to this direction. What happened with Whedon and Zack Snyder, and of course there was a lot of personal stuff going on with Zack Snyder, I know, during that period. All that stuff. So it was an unfortunate sequence of events, and he was dealing with a difficult rotating staff of executives, who ultimately had final say on anything. And it just passed. Okay, you got the Snyderverse remake, so that's something, right? Now you got to move on. Now you got to, rather than waiting for Gunn to fail, because even if Gunn fails, do you think Snyder or Warner Discovery would go back to Snyder and bring him back? And how many years are we talking about before that takes place? Superman isn't coming out for 2 years. So by the time all that falls out, by the time everybody says, well, this is a huge mess, it's another failure, let's pull up stakes and cut our losses. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the line. And then what's the solution?
Yeah.
Bring Zach back and we'll start again. I guarantee you ain't nobody watching that. Because I think everybody will be so disgusted by that point. We're all going to be like, whatever.
Comic Dog, I appreciate the super chat. It says, I don't get why Snyder Bros can't figure out Snyder Cut only happened to launch HBO Max with fanfare. Yeah, I get that, but they did dump some money into it. But I think the idea, and I think even at the time, Snyder was like, this doesn't mean, like, we're getting to finish the movie, and I'm glad I get to do that. But it doesn't, like, even Snyder at that time was like, that doesn't mean that we're going to continue this. Like, this is, I really like the Snyder Cut. I liked it a lot. I would love to see that get blossomed out. But yeah, like you said, that time has passed. It's over. It's something new. Both are moving on, right?
If I were Zack Snyder, I got to be honest with you, I'd probably look at this whole experience and go, you know what? I'm going to do a movie on a story that I have proprietary rights to. So I don't have to listen to all these clowns. Okay. So you got to admit, that is one very, very big difference with the DC, the MCU, whatever. It's, I don't know how else to put this. It's overwhelmed with property rights. Whereas, you make a movie, you find a book or a novel that you really like, you read it, you write a screenplay for it, you work out a deal with the author, okay, and maybe one day it turns into a franchise, but initially you're not going to get much pushback from the author, okay, who generally, for a lot of these movies that work, is relatively unknown, or you pay them off, okay, and then you work on the screenplay, you develop the screenplay, you develop the movie, you direct the movie. I can't imagine it was like that when he was doing DC, even close, right? So if I were Zack Snyder, that probably would be something pretty significant in my mind. Why would I want to listen to all these voices? Well, you can't do that because so-and-so didn't approve it. You can't do that either because so-and-so didn't approve it, So I kind of look at it that way. It's not that we don't like Zack Snyder's work, love his work. Not that I didn't like the Snyderverse either. But the problem with the Snyderverse was you brought it in, but at that point, we all knew it was dead. This was not going anywhere. There was not going to be anything beyond this. So you watched it, you enjoyed it for what it was, but realizing that this was the end.
Yeah, and I agree with figure drawing that Sucker Punch, that's the one Zack Snyder movie I just can't get behind. Like, for some reason, like I do not like Sucker Punch, but it is what it is. So it seems like I'm excited because I love James Gunn. It seems like Rex is excited because he just wants DC to move on, and he's ready for this fresh start, and he's optimistic because he wants them to succeed.
Correct.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That was a good conversation, of course, and I'm really pumped for this news. And we'll be talking more about that on Rockin Robbie Live on Sunday night, amongst other things. So, Rex, why don't we talk about what's going on with the PCP pop-up shop on Shopify?
Right, so last week, so we just started this a couple weeks ago, right? So we put up a PCP shop on Shopify, and Robbie will throw the link up. And we put a bunch of different kind of books. So what we're doing was we're helping Robbie kind of develop sales on his channel. Of course, a portion of every book that's sold, the proceeds will go to Robbie to help him continue doing what he does and keep PCP running. There's a lot of good content there. But last week we had a glitch with the Shopify store, so nothing you couldn't click on it, right? So we fixed that problem. So the books are up there. See you later, bottom tier. Thanks for joining us, man. So the books are up there. I don't know, Robbie. I sent you that email. I don't know how you want to do this. You want to go through what we had last week? You want to go through the whole list, or
let's go through the whole list because I got it all loaded up. You just mentioned the book, and then I'll throw up the image. Sounds good to me. If that's good to you,
that works. All right, and all of these are available at the link that Robbie has.
And they're all at special prices for the PCP shop too. So like,
correct.
We're discounting these things for you guys too, and it does help out the channel, and I really appreciate that.
And a little different from what we do with the experience. With the Shopify account, you can pay credit card, whatever, PayPal, however you want to pay. Click on it, and easy peasy for Robbie. We get the email, we send it out from here, okay? And all the books that you see on Robbie's site are limited to one only, and we have them put away in the warehouse so that that inventory never goes anywhere. So, and we're going to keep adding stuff to it, cleaning it up, bringing something, and let us know too. Send a DM to Robbie, post something in the chat if there's something specific that you're looking for. All right, so here we go. All right, you ready, Rob?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to go in the order of the list that I sent you, okay?
All righty.
So first up, we got Flash Forward #1, signed by Scott Lobdell. And it is number 15 of only 60 signed. Suggested retail of $29.99. We have this one available on Robbie's site for $19.56. Then we have Marvel Now .1 #1 signed in silver by Matt Fraction. Suggested retail of $69.99. We have one available for that price. Number 7 of 10 signed in silver. Then a little vintage, we have Star Wars number 41 from 1980. Presumed grade of 6.5. And we have this one available for $40.
Love that cover. Big spotlight on the Millennium Falcon, man.
I know. All right, and then going to Silver Age, we have Daredevil number 18 from 1966. First appearance of Gladiator. Presumed grade of a 5.5.
Of Russell Crowe? Is that what you're saying?
Better role than when he played Zeus. Presumed grade of 5.5, and we have the one available for $75. All right, then we have Generations Forged, #1, signed in silver by Dan Jurgens, the man who killed Superman. Number 5 of only 15 signed. Suggested retail is $69.99. It is a special Rockin Robbie discount. We have this one available for $19.99. Then we have Guardians of the Galaxy number 8, Encore Edition, signed in silver by Donnie Cates. It is number 1 of 15 signed in silver, so it's number 1 in the edition. Suggested retail $69.99. We have the one available for $50. All right, so this one's a cool one. One of my favorite artists. Garbage Pail Kids, Gross Encounters of the Turd Kind, #1, signed with cover sketch of the alien Ian by Ken Hazer. We usually retail this for $89.99. We have this one available for $29.99.
That's a sweet deal for some Ken Hazer original artwork. And y'all know me, I love my Mars Attacks and I love my Garbage Pail Kids. And look at that. That's
and that is 2016, I think. Pretty sure. All right, so then we have Avengers Assemble #1, 4 connecting cover sketch set of Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, and Captain America by Ken Hazer. So these are 4 connected. Suggested retail $359.96, and we have this one set of 4 books available for $196.30. Then we have Heroes Reborn, Magneto, and Mutant Force #1, spoiler variant signed by Bernard Chang. Suggested retail $49.99. It is #1 of 15 in the edition, and we have one available for $39.99. Then we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #100, Dynamic Forces exclusive variant by Kevin Eastman. I love this cover. Suggested retail $50. There were only 1,000 of these ever printed, and we have this one available for $19.84. Then we have Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures #1, Dynamic Forces exclusive cover by Ken Hazer. These were only limited at 750. Suggested retail $29.99. We have the one available for $19.84. All right, some more Hazer art. Batman Spawn #1, signed with Batman cover sketch by Ken Hazer. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have this one available for $40. Then we have Spider-Man #1, signed with Punisher cover sketch by Ken Hazer, suggested retail of $89.99, and we have this one for $40.
I like that you can tell this is like early Frank Castle too, because of the shape of the skull eyes and the little wings he's got in his hair.
Before the logo changed. All right, so next up, this is the bargain of the day. Age of Ultron #1. And we have this one available for $5. This is an embossed cover, heavy cover paper stock. And then Future Imperfect #1, signed in gold by Greg Land. It is also #1 of 10 in the edition, signed in gold. Suggested retail of $89.99. We have the one available for $62. And then finally, Amazing Spider-Man #252, facsimile edition, signed in gold by Tom DeFalco. Suggested retail of $89.99. We have this one, 14 of 15 in the edition. This is one of our 5-star $50 books. Now, all of these are available on Robbie's PCP shop store. All right, so all you got to do is go to the store, click on it, pay any method you want, and we'll get it right out the door to you. And we'll get that stuff. Let us know what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, if there's anything in particular you guys are looking for, whether it's signed books, CGC books, special covers. I personally love the commission cover arts that we have, especially the Ken Hazer stuff. I have several in my collection, including a Captain Carrot and even a Rainbow Bright. Ken's a cool dude. We've had him on our show before, and he's a big horror fan, and I love chatting with him. He's an excellent artist, and I love his work.
So don't forget, Nick has his original art show at 7 Eastern tonight on The Experience. And actually, Amy and I will be on with Bueller, Comics with Bueller, from 4 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. So on his YouTube channel. What do you got going on, brother?
Well, we got March Madness is what we're in the midst of. Last night, we had a special edition on Dylan's Horror Show where we talked about Scream 6 in full spoilery detail. But the regular continued programming starts tomorrow night when we talk about Triangle, which was a really interesting film that we're all watching for the first time, recommended to us by Two Gun Pedro. That's going to be a cool conversation. And then Monday after the show over at the EXP, check us out for Lucio Fulci's Don't Torture a Duckling, 1972 Italian giallo. And you know me, I love my Italian horror films. So that one's a fun one to unpack.
You do.
All right.
Very cool.
We want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Be sure to join us over at the EXP on Monday and check out the Shopify account. If you are interested, like I said, and like Rex says, it does help out the channel here, and we really do appreciate it. And we really do appreciate you guys Rex, you guys have been nothing but supportive of our channel and me and what we do here and our work. So I just want to thank you for that. You guys have always been top notch. What's that?
We love you, Robbie. But I did want to ask you, how you feeling about that whole Zeke Zeke news?
I feel very good about it. I feel very good. I wish that we would also cut Mike McCarthy, and I would feel even better. But I do feel good. I think the Zeke era is over, and I think we need to realize that. Now we got to try to get some good running backs out there on the market. We'll see what happens. So, and I think the Cowboys should learn their lesson. You don't draft running backs in the first round, right? You just don't do it.
I would agree with that, but Belichick would agree with that as well.
Yeah, there you go. So that's what we think. So thank you all for joining us. Rex, thank you for joining me, and we are dipping out. We'll see you guys.